Hi, Garland Nixon here on Real Progressives Live to talk a little bit, very briefly, because I don't think it's that big a deal, about Colin Kaepernick, the currently backup quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, and his decision not to stand for the Star Spangled Banner. And what does that mean, if anything, and why the outrage, okay? So let's start here. Initially I didn't really follow it enough because to me, I could care less. But so now there's the outrage, and now I think now I just got an email today that on Sunday in the 4 o'clock hour, I'm going to go on Fox News with Deneen Borelli. For those of you who don't know that, she's a Fox News. She is a contributor. A Stacey Dash kind of wannabe contributor for Fox News. So I'm going to go on there with her, and I suspect we will be talking about this issue. So I wanted to touch base with you all on the Real Progressive page just a little bit. So here's my position. Colin Kaepernick determined that he wanted to exercise his First Amendment rights. That's all he did. It could have been anything. It could have been that he decided to say something. It could have been that he decided to wear something, but he decided to exercise his First Amendment rights. And that was to violate a protocol, to violate what could be considered a tradition. The tradition. What did he actually do? He didn't do something. He failed to do something. He didn't act by commission. He acted by omission, right? There's a tradition in America. If we talk about what his so-called violation of whatever was, right? There's a tradition in America of standing for when the national anthem is played. Keep in mind something. That isn't written down anywhere. There's nothing in writing anywhere. There's nothing formal anywhere that says someone has to hold their hand over their heart. They have to do anything. This is a tradition. Where it started or when it started, I don't know, but this is a tradition. And Colin Kaepernick decided he wasn't going to go along with the tradition. That's all really that happened. Now, there is great outrage on the right. Whoa, my gosh, he has violated tradition and protocol. And if you know anything about conservatism, they're all about tradition and protocol. But he's violated tradition and protocol. And here's my position on that. If you go to a restaurant, okay, are you concerned with menu or the food? Imagine going to a restaurant and there's a menu and you say, man, that's a great menu and everything looks great. I think I'll have the lobster. And they say, well, we don't have any food here. What do you mean? We only have a menu. You see, the food isn't the menu. The menu refers to the food. The menu directs you to the food. The menu is something that makes you think about the food. But the menu isn't the food. So don't focus on menus. Menus are nice. They allegedly describe this food. But we've all been to restaurants wherein the picture of the food on the menu looked nothing like, when it got there, you looked and you're like, my God, that's not like the menu. That's not even what they described. It may have been good, it may not. Well, so what does that all mean? Are we focusing on the song and the tradition surrounding the song, or what they're supposed to represent, right? The menu represents the food. The menu is not the food, right? So this song and the tradition of standing up is supposed to represent our constitutional rights and freedoms and civil liberties, right? We're supposed to say, yay, the Star Spangled Banner. What does that mean? That means that we have all these freedoms and liberties, such as, I don't know, the First Amendment right, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom, right? So here's my thing. You're all upset because this man chose to exercise his freedoms. You're not focused on what the song is supposed to represent. Look, you can go to North Korea. North Korea has a state song. They all sing about their glorious leader, right? And they all have to stand and salute and do all these things. So because you have a song doesn't mean that you have freedom of anything. You've got a song. They got a great song in North Korea. Lots of countries have a song. If all you want is a country where everybody respects the song, feel free to move to North Korea because you've got that there. Here, the song and the tradition of standing or holding your hand over the heart or whatever other tradition we have is representative of freedoms. It's representative of constitutional rights. Now, what Colin Powell is actually protesting through his omission, through his failure to do these things, is violations of constitutional rights against people of color. That's what he believes in. That's what he believes is an issue. That's what many other people believe in. And you may or may not, but a lot of people believe that that's a serious issue. So as a result of him believing that people's constitutional rights and civil liberties are being violated, what do you know? He's actually exercising his constitutional rights and civil liberties. But yet we have people who claim to love the Constitution, who they only support constitutional rights and civil liberties when you're doing something that they approve of. As soon as you're doing something that they don't approve of, they don't actually approve of constitutional rights and civil liberties anymore. So they're concerned with the traditions that you do, with the songs that you sing, with the pledges that you make, with the holding your hand over the heart, standing for this, and all of these protocols you go through. But they have no respect whatsoever for the rights that these things represent. And that's why I used the metaphor of a menu in a restaurant. You're so concerned with the menu. You can't eat menus. There's no nutrition in a menu. Likewise, because you sing a song or hold a tradition doesn't mean that you have any freedoms, because they sing songs and they have traditions in North Korea, but they have no freedoms whatsoever. So that's my position with Colin Kaepernick, that all of these people on the right are so busy concerned that he doesn't do what they want him to do, that they forgot what the song and what the traditions are allegedly supposed to represent. The freedom not to do these things if you don't want to. And the same way with people flag burning. They want you to go to jail. They want you to be in trouble for burning a flag. Might I remind you that one Hillary Rodham Clinton actually, look it up, Google it, actually co-sponsored a bill to make it illegal, which would have been an unconstitutional bill. Hillary Rodham Clinton actually co-sponsored a bill to make it illegal to burn the flag. Did you know that? That's a fact. But once again, they want to make it illegal to burn the flag, which is a metaphorical act. Burning the flag is a metaphorical act in protest. But yet the people who through climate change, the people who through pollution are literally burning our country to the ground, they don't have a problem with that. They got a problem with people who are metaphorically burning it because burning the flag. Once again, they're so focused on the menu that they forget about the food. And then with Colin Kaepernick, same thing. So focused on what he's doing regarding this song and regarding this tradition of standing, that they forget that the song and the standing, and they say you're disrespecting the veterans. When the fact of the matter is this, well, we can certainly argue whether a veteran whether a soldier in Iraq or Syria right now is fighting for your freedom. I would certainly argue that's not the case whatsoever. All too often in the recent wars regarding oil and other natural resources, they have been fighting for our freedom. They've been fighting, unfortunately, for the profits of major corporations. But that's a whole nother video. My point being, if we get back to it, even if they were fighting for our freedoms, they would be fighting for the freedom to sit down and not make us any sound during the Star Spangled Banner, to do things that are unpopular. That's the last thing I'll say. The reason that there are civil liberties, the reason there's a First Amendment, the reason there are all these protections is to protect actions, to protect speech that is unpopular. You do not need to protect speech of a person who stands on a corner and says the United States is the greatest place in the world. But you may need to protect the speech of a person who stands on the corner and says the United States is bad and the United States has some problems. They're doing wrong things. It's all about protecting unpopular speech. So, in fact, when the framers of the Constitution wrote the Constitution, they wrote it specifically to protect the type of activity that Colin Kaepernick is engaged in. That was the intent. But those who care about neither the Constitution nor the freedoms and the civil liberties that we like to believe that we enjoy are all over Colin Kaepernick, as opposed to rule of law. Because you see, the Constitution, as we understand it, is about rule of law. No matter who you are, no matter what the situation is, you're supposed to get the same freedoms, the same civil liberties, etc. It's about rule of law. No matter what, no matter who, the rules of the law apply to the same way. People who don't agree with that, like those who would be angry and would want Colin Kaepernick to be punished, believe in arbitrary application of the law, a hierarchical application of the law, right? Sure, you have these rights, but that's dependent upon who you are. Are you black? Are you white? Are you a man? Are you a woman? Are you a conservative? Are you a Christian? Or are you a Muslim? You have these rights, but if you're a Muslim, oh no, you don't have these rights. So they actually have to know who you are and maybe even your political ideology before they determine whether or not you even get these rights. So we're talking about people who believe in arbitrary application of the law, of the law as opposed to rule of law, who believe in a hierarchical system of rights as opposed to a universal system of rights anyway. So they wouldn't apply these to somebody like Colin Kaepernick in the first place. But that's my thoughts. That's my believing. Thanks. I see we got Andy Graybeard Morrow. I still ain't got to like it, and it's my right to say so. Let me add this too. Think about this. Colin Kaepernick has the right to do what he's doing, right? And people are criticizing him. And you have the right to criticize him. And you know what? Have you heard Colin Kaepernick attack the rights of the people who are criticizing him? He said what he has to say. But has he gone around and said, these people shouldn't be able to criticize me? How dare them? They shouldn't have the right to criticize me. Colin Kaepernick is willing to respect the rights of those who are criticizing him. See, what we see oftentimes is on the right, we'll see some conservative say something, and when people say, well, we don't like that, that's a terrible thing, they'll say, oh, he's violating my First Amendment rights. I got a First Amendment right. No, you have a First Amendment right to say what you want to say. And I have a First Amendment right to criticize you. That's what I always say to the conservatives. Oh, you're violating my First Amendment rights. No, I recognize you got a right to say that. You recognize I got a right to criticize you. Both First Amendment rights. Colin Kaepernick, do you hear Colin Kaepernick saying people should not be able to criticize me? Why, that's uncut? No, he's not saying that. So if Colin Kaepernick will recognize your right, Andy and everyone, whoever else may want to, if he will recognize your right to criticize him, then you got to recognize his right to say it in the first place. And everybody's happy. Once again, remember, the First Amendment and freedom of speech is specifically there to protect unpopular speech. Specifically, groups that have an unpopular view, or people who have an unpopular view or something unpopular to say. So the Constitution was written to protect Colin Kaepernick. And Andy, if you don't like what he said, it was written to protect you too, so you can say, I don't like what he said. Now, keep in mind, there are limits. The famous test of is there a danger? In law, what people, the big question is, did someone yell the equivalent of did someone say the equivalent of yelling fire in a crowded theater? Basically, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater or some legal equivalent, and then that would be considered unprotected speech. There are instances where speech is not considered protected. But this ain't one of them. And again, Andy, if you want to criticize him, I do not have a problem. Think about this. I got no problem with people criticizing him. All I can say is this: respect the fact that what he's doing is constitutional. Saying I don't like it is okay. But to say he has no right to do it or he's wrong for doing it, I don't agree with, because in a country where you can say what you want, he can't possibly be wrong for doing that. And as I said, last but not least, if you're so concerned about nationalism and a national song, move to North Korea. They got a great national song, and you got to sing it, and you got to stand up, or they'll shoot you. That's what they have in North Korea. You can enjoy no freedoms, but you can enjoy the song. You keep the song, I'll take the freedoms. Garland Nixon, I'm out of here. Peace.